God. Is Kurt in the jungle? Is that what's happening?
Listen. Oh, God. Okay. I'm sorry. Now I'm seeing Andrew Garfield as Nightcrawler in the jungle.
With only a loincloth on?
Stop it! Lauren! Stop! Oh, my God. What am I supposed to do with this?
I'm here to help.
Oh, God. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to Simply Amazing this Thursday. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously Thursday is Thor's Day. Literally, that's where we got the name Thursday from.
Yeah.
But also, we saw Thor, and we got thoughts.
Yes. This is going to be a very spoiler-filled episode. So if you haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder yet, you should go see it. And if you're wondering, why the hell are we talking about this movie on Nightcrawler podcast? All will be revealed.
Oh, all will be revealed. A lot of stuff that we've been talking about in this podcast, just in general, seemed to be on the screen. And so we got a lot to say. And you know what? Listen, guess whose Nightcrawler podcast this is? Ours, not yours. So we can do whatever the hell we want here.
And so, who the hell are we? Who are you?
I'm Lisa, guys. Hi, I'm Lisa, a.k.a. the OG Nocturne. I'm going to get that name back one day. I've said this before. I invented that name, Nocturne, with the German word for night, and someone fucking took it. And I'm so angry. I used to have it. My Twitter handle was Nocturne.
What if the person that took it listens to this podcast?
Okay, listen. If you're out there, I'm coming for you. I'm coming.
That's our celebrity, but not actually celebrity listener of the day. The bastard who took her name.
No,
listen.
No, who? Okay, and wait, Lauren, who are you? Tell us about.
Oh yeah, I'm Lauren, your friendly neighborhood bi. And I'm wearing a very Thor: Love and Thunder striped shirt.
She is very
I'm
Thor.
a highlighter.
Oh, she looks like the Bifrost, is what she looks like. She looks
Aww,
like the.
And I'm bi. It works.
Oh, she's the Bifrost. She's the Bifrost.
Why is that so funny? That's so dumb.
She's the. You know what though? You add one more, and you can be an NSYNC. The
Bifrost. That's what I'm
saying. This is already off the rails. I mean, that's what you get on a Thursday. That's it. So we're gonna talk about Thor: Love and Thunder, and if you guys desperately need me to do like a 6 degrees of separation for Kurt Wagner, I'm not gonna do it because listen, they both belong to the same universe, which is the Marvel universe, obviously. So
obviously Thor's gonna meet the X-Men one day because we all know Chris Hemsworth is just not gonna retire from playing Thor ever until he can't.
No,
breathe.
he will be playing Thor until like 500 years after he dies.
Yeah.
He's gonna use Thor. So yeah. So opening thoughts about Thor: Love and Thunder. For me, it definitely didn't feel like as clear of a film that like Ragnarok was. Mm-hmm. I definitely was trying to figure out where it was going, but then when it got to where it was going, I was very satisfied with where it ended up. As far as literally the entirety of the purpose of the movie is in the title, which is Thor: Love and Thunder. It's all about love and finding love and choosing love, but it's also about the different types of love that exist, because it's not just about romantic love. And I think and I think that that's very clear in that, you have the story of Thor and Jane, which is the love story there. Mm-hmm. You have the great love story of a man and his weapon, which I kind of love.
I love how you paused on weapon. I'm like, are you trying to say there's a euphemism there, young lady?
I mean, probably, yes. but there's this great story of like a man or a person and their weapon and the love therein of, which we see that with not just Thor, but also, Valkyrie has her sword that she's very close to, and then Zeus and his. It almost seems like every single character that has a weapon has this like very close relationship with it, which is, and then of course in the end you have the love. But you start, it's kind of, there's the bookends of the love of a father and child, right? Which we start with Gore and his daughter dying, and then we end with Gore dying for his daughter, and then Thor taking her in as his own. Yeah,
I mean, I liked the way you opened up earlier with the whole. It definitely. The writing's definitely choppy as hell in this movie, more so than Ragnarok. A lot of the improvised comedic bits and stuff, and the comedic moments in the film, especially particularly the first half of the film, they didn't land. Like, I remember staying in that theater, and I could tell when there was supposed to be something really funny, and I didn't laugh, and then other people didn't laugh, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is not hitting like the last film. And I think in general, again, the first half was really kind of rough, and I didn't really feel any kind of way other than what's happening. But then the second half, when they got more into the themes like you're talking about, like the love with all these different elements and different kinds of love and stuff, that stuff hit me. And I was like, why didn't it just do this? Like, it didn't need, because I almost feel like the first half of the movie tried too hard to be campy almost. And that's what Taika Waititi does. That's what he did in Ragnarok. That's what we expected.
That's what he does in What We Do in the Shadows. That's what he does in everything he does.
Right. And so I expected campiness. That's what he's good for. And I like his stuff. But yeah, it just didn't work the first half. And I think a lot of it is because they rushed the story. It felt like the stuff with Jane, especially, being thrown in there, and Thor being, like, going back into being so in love with her, that was so missed in Ragnarok. And now we're just supposed to believe he's all of a sudden back to that. And that, like, that was there in Ragnarok when it wasn't. Like, it felt like there needed to be another movie in between where there was, some greater plot going on, or some other side plot even. But, they're bringing Jane back in a little bit, her story, and they're bringing, Thor and her. I don't know. It was just weird. It was, that was kind of rough bringing it in. And they definitely rushed it, you could tell.
Yeah, but I think the thing, though, is that they did kind of rush a lot of those elements, but I enjoyed the way that Taika chose to bring in those rushed elements, where it was kind of like a storytelling thing, where Korg is telling the story of who Thor and Jane were. Because the fact of the matter is, like, I don't necessarily need to watch a whole rom-com about Thor and Jane, because I'm...
Well, you got that in the first film. Well, the problem is you had the rom-com, then you had the drama ending in Thor 2, and then nothing with them for, like, one Thor movie, and then a couple other Avengers or team-up movies with Thor. And then, so it's interesting. The first half of the film, I don't really want to fault Taika or the other writer that was credited. I can't remember her name. I believe it was a woman. I don't want to really fault them for it, because I think the first half of the movie, they really had to spend a lot of time writing-wise in the script and the plot, just cleaning up the mess of Endgame and stuff. They had to clean up him being with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He wasn't with them long because why? Like, that was never... And I think people after Endgame expected a whole film where he's with the Guardians. And it was like, no, that just doesn't work here. So they basically had to clean up the mess a lot of the other movies made in order to make room for this story they wanted to tell. And they only had this much time to tell the story once they got it to where it needed to be. Which is kind of a shame, because I would have liked... the story to be told a little bit longer, because the second half hit so well. Like, it really did such a good job pulling on the heartstrings and the themes. But yeah, the first half, it's just putting the pieces together to make that work.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking up some stuff about Natalie Portman while we were talking, but
of course,
she's Natalie Portman. But no, I agree with you about the rushing and the cleaning up of Endgame. How the thing is. Well, we have another Guardians movie coming out, but I'm assuming that Thor's not going to be in it. But with this,
well, he has a daughter now, so like, he's busy.
He's busy. He's daddy. He
has a ship, though. I'm like, where'd that ship come from?
Listen. I'm not asking questions. Like,
I have a lot of questions, Marvel.
So the whole thing with the Guardians, I think, actually sets up the tone of the movie really well, because the fact of the matter is that Thor is, in the beginning of this movie, that same type of god that Gore is against, right? Which is, Thor is very, like, he's selfish. He's not really thinking for himself. He comes out and he saves the day, but in the process of saving the day, like, completely destroys the beautiful, like, towers and temples that the people there worship. So it's like, yeah, like, Thor, great, you saved the day, but you destroyed everything.
But that wasn't because he's selfish, because he went through all that in the first film, and even some of the second film, where he even mentioned in this film, once he stopped being depressed, that's a symptom of him just, getting over his depression and being like, woohoo, I'm part of the fun. And they're like, buddy, we get it, you're back, we're glad you're back, but look what we did. And he's like, oh, fuck, my bad, guys. Like, he actually felt bad, and he immediately realized his error.
But that's the point I'm making, is that, so he's coming back in this way that is, like, so it's kind of the idea of toxic positivity, where it's like he's coming from a point of like he's got a lot of pain and he's got a lot of depression. He's ignoring all of that and deciding to take on this like these heroic roles, but like he's overdoing it. He's doing too much. Like
that's not against Gore's issue. Gore doesn't care about people like that. He cares about the gods that don't try at all. And that's one thing I actually would have liked to see explored is because that's one thing they touched on is that Thor does try.
Yes.
Even like the whole rest of the film, once he's back to himself, like he was in Ragnarok, ever since the first two films, even the first, because that was the whole plot of the first one was he had to learn to stop being selfish so that he could actually be worthy of Odin's power, of the hammer's power, of Mjolnir. He had to. And that was, so he's gone through that growth already. That actual growth happened. That's why we didn't see the actual growth in this film. It's already been done. He just had to get over his dumb little shit, and then he's back to his campy self and caring about people, and he put that, he said that so much throughout the film, which is great. He was himself. So I don't see that, because that's the thing that Gore needed to realize, which I think he did in the end. When he saw Thor, he said, I could worry about you still, but you know what? You're going to make your choice. I'm going to go be with the person I love, because that love isn't selfish. This kind of love is not.
Yes.
This is something good. And Gore saw, like, oh my God, a god is actually being caring. Like, what?
I guess what I meant by, like, he's the type of god that Gore was against in the very beginning is that he was being careless. It was like a very, like, I will vanquish the you know what it reminded me of? It reminds me of the show The Boys, or the comic book The Boys, where you have all these superheroes who are doing all these things, but they're but there are buildings falling and there are people dying, and like, where's that part of the story? And that's what it felt like Thor was like in the beginning of the movie, and then by the end of the movie, he was much more like aware of the destruction he can actually cause. He's looking for his place. And in the beginning with the Guardians, he's like trying to be a part of them. And like he even breaks up with them, even though like they're clearly breaking up with him. Like they're like, we're leaving, and he's like, no, just leave, don't say anything. It's just like, so I think it's one of those things where he's just trying to find his place, and he's trying to find his value and his worth and like where he belongs right now.
That's what he said. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I love what they did with New Asgard. I love the idea of it being like a Disneyland type tourist destination. I mean, all the cruise ships and everything showing up. Like, I love that.
Let me just say, I hope people talk a lot about King Valkyrie, because she was really fucking great. She was awesome. Fantastic throughout the whole film. I was worried they were going to actually kill her off. They didn't, because I was like, I have a feeling they're going to kill Jane. I can't lose her and King Valkyrie in one film. I can't do it. Like, if you're taking one, you can't have the other.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that, which was nice. I really like how they did all that stuff. I really love Natalie Portman. Obviously, she was fantastic. I'm hoping with that end credit scene, she's coming back. I think it was a fun film, but it definitely, I don't think it's going to age that well, because it's just, they tried to do too much with this film too soon, I think. And I don't really blame, like, I'm not going to blame Taika for it or anybody, because I'm not sure, but I believe that Taika was a huge part in getting Natalie Portman back for this film. He was. I'm incredibly thankful for that. So I am not upset they brought her back, and if this is all they could do, I'm happy. Like, I'm thrilled we got her. I'm thrilled she got to tell her story. I'm actually glad that, they did the comic, part of the comic where, it was because of cancer. I'm glad they kept that, because there were rumors going around that they took that out of her story, and I was like, I swear to God, y'all.
I mean, that's like it's like one of the most important parts of her story, right? Is
do not take that from her, please. Like, it's just, you can't do that. And so I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that was maintained. So I don't really have any blame to go around to any direct person. I don't think that's necessary. I just think, this was just a film that wanted to do a lot of things, and this was all the only film they could do it in, and they did the best they could.
There were a lot of very God, and I felt like almost biblical, like, references, where it's like taking the children, which was like, that was something that happened in like the story of Moses, right? All the firstborns were taken, and so. Like, and it also happened in Batman Returns. That's what Penguin did. So,
which is obviously the other Bible, guys. Batman Returns, the Batman films are other Bibles.
Yeah, exactly. So, I literally, like, when they were taking the children, I was like, I'm getting Penguin vibes here. I'm getting serious Penguin vibes. But I loved the moment. Okay, at first when Thor was gathering his child army, I was like, oh, where's this going? A child army. I loved the moment that he imbued them all with the power of Thor, because it was such a great, like the power to be good and enact good is in all of us, right? And we don't need someone to give it to us, but it's there, it exists. And I loved that message. I thought that was such a great message, like that, all of us can be this, just like we can all bring that good and that light into the world, and we can all fight for the good. So I loved that message. I loved all the kids fighting and winning.
Yeah.
And
I love that shit. I thought it was great. Like I leaned over to you in the theater and I was like, bro, if I was one of the kids in this film, in this moment, I would never shut up about this. I'd be like, guys, look, I was in the scene. Look how fucking cool I am.
I know.
Especially if that was that kid with like the stuffed bunny or whatever, shooting lightning at bitches. I'd be like, that's me with my stuffed bunny with the power of Thor. Get fuck. And
straight up, like, we know that, like, Hemsworth's kids were in it, and, like, Taika Waititi's kids were in it. Like, I don't know where they were, but, like, I saw them in the end credits. And I think, like, the best part of the entire movie is the ending, because it's this beautiful scene of redemption for Gore, but also, like, this scene, Gore dies, and Jane Foster dies, but then you have these two people left who you have these two people left in that final scene, right, where it's like they both have lost the most important people in their life, essentially, right there, and they find companionship in each other, which is Thor and Gore's daughter, which we don't have a name for yet, but yeah, I thought that was like such a beautiful scene, and it was the way that Thor challenged him in that last scene too, where it was like, you like, I know what's going to happen next, right? He was like you have a choice, Gore. You can either like bring your daughter back, or you can kill all the gods. But like in this moment, I have a 50% chance of dying. I'm going to spend it with the person I love.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, so powerful, and I think that spoke a lot. Like, he's right. He says in the end, he's like, you're not looking for vengeance. You're looking for love. You're looking for what you want. You can kill all the gods. You can. But that's not going to bring your daughter back. It's not going to it's not going to change, it's not going to right the wrongs that were done to you.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. And that was the whole point of that scene, right? Is because with different villains, you have to find different ways to challenge them, especially villains that we can technically empathize with. We're like, we understand what you're doing and why, but it's not right. It's not justified, but we get it. And so, more than ever now, we're seeing villains like that because people like these villains. And they're great villains, especially when they're done well. And I think it's one of those things where, you have to figure out what's important in your life. And I think that's really a theme in that film too, is, what is actually important to you? All these other little, almost unnecessary battles and fights you're picking and all these things, or is it, are the things worth fighting for the things that you care about the most? Are they the people you love? Are they, and that's a really great theme in the film. And I just want to talk about Christian Bale. So I am one of those people. I care less about him as an actor. Like, he's fine. I don't hate him. I just don't care. He's one of those, like, super famous, pretentious actors. Not that he is, but his fans are. They're very pretentious. They're like, Christian Bale's perfect. I don't care. But he was phenomenal in the film. Like, I understand now why there were articles that came out where they were saying that he was one of the best tested MCU villains ever.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. And I am actually sad that we won't get more of that villain, because he could have been in multiple films easily, just in terms of the quality villain he was.
Oh, 100%.
And how well Bale played him. He did a phenomenal job.
I got to be honest, like, I had no doubt that Christian Bale was going to bring every bit of his energy and, like, his passion to this movie. And I mean, for those of you who really only know Christian Bale by, like, the Batman movies, like, you're doing yourself a disservice, because, I mean, go see what's the boxer movie that he's in that's so, oh my god, it's so fucking good, and he is so good in it. Anyway, I'll figure it out, I'll post it about later. But he's an amazing actor. He's just an incredible actor. He's very good at his craft, and I cried several times in this movie. Like, this movie starts on a down note. Like, this movie starts on, like, Gore losing his daughter and losing his faith and getting the sword and all that stuff. I forgot what the sword's called. But, and then it ends on a down, but a hopeful, because he dies, but he is able to bring his daughter back, and she, but he's just, every scene he's in, he commands the scene, like, he really does. And, like, even that scene with all the kids, like, and he's, trying to, like, entertain them with all these stupid things, and he's a brilliant actor, and he does a great job with this role. Like, he just, I loved every minute.
He nailed it. It was a very nice surprise for me, and a very nice like, haha, I was right, validation. That's it for you.
Validate, yes.
Yeah, I really liked it. And yeah, I mean, the film was fun. I don't know. I do wish it leaned more into what the tone of the second half of the film was. Because I think that's when it was at its best. But either way, I mean, so how do we feel about the ending? Because, we have Jane Foster dying. And this is before end credits, by the way. So we have Jane Foster dying and moving on. King Valkyrie's fine. The kids are back. Everything's good at Asgard, new Asgard. And then Thor has run off with some ship doing things with now his basically new adopted daughter, who is Gore's child, that he was like, please take care of her. And then the Thor movie ends with the voiceover of Gore going, so they are love and thunder.
Mm-hmm. So the one thing about the Gore's daughter that we haven't touched on is, so she is imbued with like the power of like the cosmos or something.
The gods.
Yeah, she's like imbued with the power of the gods at the end.
And my question is, which gods?
Well, so here's the thing. If you noticed, when she approached her father, when she was first brought back, she had the same, her reflection was identical to Eternity's, like what Eternity looks like. She had that cosmos reflection in her. And then when you saw her, she looked like just a normal kid, like a normal alien kid. So I think she's imbued with like the power of the cosmos. Like she can do, like she...
Well, so I don't think you're far off at all. I think there's definitely something there. And on top of that, so when they go to Eternity, within there are like giant statues and stuff of those, what are they called? The beings, the Celestials? Is that the word?
Yeah.
From the Eternals. I think she could possibly be related to them. I think she could have their power or be related somehow. So that's going to be incredibly interesting to see. Because, and they also, like, Marvel's official thing was like, watch the Eternals before you watch Thor, Love and Thunder. There's not much there other than, and maybe our people saw Easter eggs, I didn't, which is very, very, very likely, but...
We're not Eternals people, so...
But I love that film, but yeah, I don't know their lore as well, but you saw those heads that look like the big villain that starts with an H, that's going to come for Judgment. And this is actually funny because Judgment Day is coming up in the comics. I don't know if things are going to collide at any point, but... I think she has to do with the Eternals.
So, yeah, this is, like, interesting, right? Because the comics have certain things happening, and then the movies have certain things happening, but there's parallels. So, for example, in Sabretooth number 5, Sabretooth says he's going to go after all the children of the people who've put him in the pit, right? That's his plan. He wants to do that. So, and then you have... Like, so you have that kind of thing happening, and then you have the idea of, like, Thor becomes a father in this movie, right? He adopts a child. There's all of these, like, weird parallels that are happening between the comics and the movies. I don't know if it's intentional or not. There's also all the talk in, all the work in, I thought there were a lot of parallels between what was happening with Gore and the gods in this movie and what we're seeing in Legion of X. Even though Legion of X is not a book that either of us really enjoy that much, but they still talk about Legion of X. In Legion of X, there's that idea of gods being these useless beings that are just there to be worshipped.
And we're seeing, and I like that. So in case you guys were wondering, the question of why the fuck are we talking about this on Nightcrawler podcast, one, because we want to, and two, because Lisa made these great connections that she's talking about where, you've got the fatherhood themes, and we see that a lot. You have that with Thor here. We see that so much with Kurt in the past, right? Bring it back, cowards. Yeah. And then especially stuff with the gods that you just mentioned, that's actually really fucking good because we already know this phase of the MCU is going to be more cosmic, and also it's going to involve a lot more gods we've seen. And we're seeing that so much in the comics too.
Yeah, let's talk about the god we saw in the mid-credit scene.
Well, yes.
Before we get into the credit scenes, I will say that the first one we agree on, the second one we disagree on. So there's going to be some back and forth in a minute.
Well, because the first, all end credit scenes are to interpretation. Like, there's no wrong answer. That's the thing. Like, end credits people are like, this is right, this is right. There's no right answer until we see evidence years later.
Yes.
So, doesn't matter. With the first one, so we see Zeus is still alive. He is very, very pissed. And his son, Hercules, or he calls him Hercules, but the correct way is Hercules, as we know, he is there. And if we have any Ted Lasso fans here, number one, Ted Lasso is amazing. If you don't watch it, you should. Number two, Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso is fucking Hercules. I would have never guessed it, but I fucking love it, guys.
Okay, I want to clarify. He's not fucking Hercules. He is Hercules.
I love it either way. Listen, love it either way. And I would have never, like, he would have never been my first choice, but once I saw it, I was like, that's honestly perfect. Like,
he was awesome. I was waiting for Hercules, like, literally the whole movie. I was like, because Thor mentions Hercules very early on. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Just even though we're in the end credit scene, I want to go back for 1 second to that scene with all the gods, because it was a beautiful scene. And you could pick out different gods from different mythologies in it. And I thought that was so great.
Yeah.
In general, talking about the movie is gorgeous. It's a beautiful movie. Like, it is, the cinematography is amazing. The color is amazing. Everything about this movie is just, it's like, I want to use the word decadent. It is decadent. It feels like
visually, it's pretty gorgeous, which I expected. Just like the other end credit scene, I think it's gorgeous.
Okay, girl.
I think great things are gonna happen because of it. And y'all better go make sure, like, go tweet out that you love, Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, because listen, we could get more. Okay, we just need to make sure it happens.
So the final end credit scene, right? That we have Jane Foster showing up in Valhalla, and she is welcomed by Heimdall.
Yes, my man.
Yeah. So this is very open to interpretation.
Of course it is. That's what end credit scenes are for.
Well, yeah, of course.
You keep saying that. We know this, Lisa.
So I took it more as a send off. It might not be. The thing is like when gods go to Valhalla, or when they go to Valhalla, it's like that's the end. That is, you are done with fighting. It is your time to rest. It is your time to enjoy.
I was super excited to get Jane Foster Thor, and I know so many people were Mighty Thor. Let's go! But I was so sad to see her killed off so quickly. So when I saw the end credit scene, whether it's a send off, whether it turns to become something more, whatever happens, great. But I am super excited that it has opened a door, because that was the thing. I was like, I want the opportunity open. And if Natalie Portman's willing to do it, please do it. Like, I can't make the woman do anything, but like, please God. And so, and her and the Valkyries, that could be a show. Like, and I would love to see that as like a Disney Plus show or something, instead of just like a film or two. Just like DC, where's the Amazon show? I'm tired. Give the Amazons their own show. I mean, DC, you're annoying me. You're annoying me.
Listen, they're too busy fucking chasing Ezra Miller around the world. So
Jesus Christ. Listen.
Let's talk about the good heroes.
Let's talk about the good heroes. The mortals can deal with that.
Yeah.
That end credit scene, I think it opens a lot of doors.
See, I don't know the mythos, so I wasn't aware. I took it much more as the Norse mythology of Valhalla, not the Marvel.
Well, here's the thing too. With end credit scenes, they're typical. I can't think of a single end credit scene that was a send off. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, if somebody thinks of one, tweet at us, please, because I want to actually know, because I have to watch all the films again or watch all the scenes.
So I
can't think of a single one that was just a send off scene. End credit scenes are typically opening doors.
You're not wrong.
To future things, and so. Even though you could be right, this could be an exception. There's an exception to every pattern, as we have learned, unfortunately, in many things. But it is, especially because, this is an aside as well, but you know how I was talking about earlier that the theater was pretty quiet during a lot of parts you're supposed to laugh and stuff? That was the loudest I heard the theater was when we saw Heimdall. I was like, yes, exactly.
But,
cheer for my man.
You, but yeah. No, we were in the theater with like 5 other people, so we did a matinee show, so it was
great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And yeah, so if it is a send-off, great, like whatever, but I think a lot of people would be pissed because, again, end credits are teasers for things to come.
So the only reason I say it could be a send-off, Natalie Portman is probably one of the most famous people in the MCU whose fame didn't come from being in the MCU. Because when you, other actors, right, Chris Hemsworth was in Star Trek for 5 seconds before he was Thor.
Sure, but there's so many.
But what I'm saying is,
there's a lot of actors now in the MCU. That's the problem with that, is if you had said that even 5 years ago, I would be like, you're probably right. And you are in a lot of cases. You're right. Like, the the Chris's were nobody and all this stuff, but...
Yeah, the Chris's were nobody. Like, really, the only actors who came in...
But so many films now, there's been so many since the originals,
No, you're not wrong,
that
of course.
they were, that they're bigger names.
Yeah, I'm just
even
saying,
without the MCU.
I guess the point I'm making is, like, Natalie Portman was in fucking Star Wars. Like, she was in those big movies before. She, like, that's why I also have a love for Natalie Portman. Maybe I'm biased. I grew up on Long Island. I knew people who knew her. So, I mean, there's that. But I didn't know her at all. I never met her. But I'm just saying, like, maybe I'm just biased because she's a Long Island girl and I love it.
Well, I mean, what's interesting, too, is that, so, before I heard she was cast in this film, I would have agreed with you, actually. I'd be like, one, there's no way she's coming back at all. Even played Thor because they screwed her over in the second Thor movie. Like, that's why she was gone, and Taika basically had to beg for her to come back and make sure that she knew, probably in writing as well, write a contract that you're not going to be just a damsel in distress. You're going to get cast. And her coming back and being so proud of it, like seeing her on the red carpet, she's thrilled. She's meeting kids dressed up as, Mighty Thor as well. And, again, it could be just a face, whatever. But, like, I don't know. I just have this feeling that, especially since Star Wars, you're absolutely correct. She wants to be a big face in a franchise. It's not just a goddamn damsel. It's not just a goddamn plot device. Because as much as I love Padme Amidala's character, and Padme Amidala deserved better, she didn't get better. She was a plot device. She was the love interest. And I think that there's a good possibility. Again, this is all up to in the air because we're taking all this time trying to guess what a celebrity thinks, and she's just a human being like the rest of us.
Exactly. That's the job.
I think that if she can do it schedule-wise and she likes to and such, I think she wants to be able to, do something where she's like, wow, I get to be this badass superhero and beat ass. I mean, I saw her in that film, and yes, she was acting, she's playing a character, but, like, she was having so much fun. She was, like, doing, like, the cocky shit she did when she did SNL skits and those silly songs and stuff. Like, that felt like Natalie Portman shit, and I was like, man, if she could keep that, I feel like she would. So, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. It's, it remains to be seen. Yeah, she was great in it. I think some of the other themes too, like her cancer is, like, I mean, I have people who have, been affected by cancer. Most of us do, right? So, like, that's very relatable. That's a very relatable part of the movie. She was great. I'd love to see her come back. We'll see what happens. It's...
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's a long game for MCU. Like, we'll see this... And we'll debate about this for the next, couple months, then we'll forget about it, and then 5 years from now, we'll get her own TV series. Like, that's the thing, too, is that the MCU is planned out so far ahead that when we talk about this stuff and we're like, man, like, these people, they're going to film this other stuff, they won't be able to do it. There's no way they're coming back. That's because they plan 6 years in advance. Like, and unless, something unforeseen happens, like, unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman's death with Black Panther, it's happening, and that's just how it works with MCU. It's absolutely wild how far not only they do plan ahead, but they can. And you're, like you said, with these big actors. I mean, Idris Elba's a big actor, and they just got him back for this random end credit scene. Mm-hmm. They were like, hey, buddy, we need you for this end credit scene. Oh, you're filming 3 things? Please! And he's like, all right, I'm coming, guys. Like, they have so much power. They have so much power over Hollywood. Yeah. And I don't know. You don't say no to them unless, again, you have evidence they screwed you over, like Natalie Portman did originally. Yeah. And now she's getting positive spotlight, and it's just whether or not she wants and can continue it.
Whether she wants it. I mean, like, the girl has been through it. Like, she did the Thor movies, but before that, she did the Star Wars stuff. So it's like she knows the drill. So it's all up to her, girl. If you want to come back, let us know. Let us know, Natalie.
Listen, we know you're listening. We know you're listening. That's our celebrity listener today. Natalie Portman, we know you listen to this. We know you're a secret stan of Kurt. We really appreciate you listening.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you for listening. Don't ever come back and play Amanda Sefton, please. With you bringing up Black Panther, I want to mention something I talked about before we even recorded was I found Gore to be, even though he was a villain, I found him to be a very relatable villain in the same way that Killmonger was. Yes. Where it's like, I can't disagree with you. Like, you're right. Like, yes, the gods aren't listening, and you have given everything to your gods. You have sacrificed it all, thinking that there is some payoff in the end. And, okay, I hate to, like, get a little bit it reminds me a little bit about the idea of the American dream, where we all work our asses off and we give so much with this idea that, if you work hard enough, if you do enough, if you really put your faith in the system, there is this thing that it's just there.
It's the illusion of... Yeah. It's the illusion of success here with the American dream. You're right. If you work hard, then you're guaranteed to succeed and be happy. And that's not the reality, unfortunately.
It's not. There's no guarantees. And that's the thing that, you just... That beginning scene with Gore and then his god, where it's just like, there's nothing for you. The god's basically, there's nothing for you. Like, thank you for worshiping me. I'll go find other worshipers. Like,
yeah,
bye.
they're like, fuck you. Well, and one of the things I really like, too, is that they could have done the approach of, the gods suck, but then it's like, look, like, Thor has all this power, and he's going to convince the other gods to be nice, I'll be happy. But Thor went to the other gods, and then Zeus and the other gods, while watching, by the way, right, even though they didn't make the decision, they made the decision to be bystanders, okay, and agree with what Zeus was saying and doing. They just did nothing, and Thor couldn't change your mind. So at the end, not only are we as an audience like, damn, like, he right, like, Thor, we know you're trying, but he right. Thor himself said, basically, dude, you're right. Like, you're right. You saw me try to convince Zeus, and he wouldn't come, and the other gods wouldn't come. So, unfortunately, you're right, but Thor still chose to do the right thing and be a good god, even if there's no hope. And that's really powerful. It's like one of my favorite quotes from The Hunger Games is when President Snow says, the only thing more powerful than fear is hope. Mm-hmm. That is and it's true. And I think that's a really great message that we all need to hear today. And we need to remember, we need symbols of hope, and we need to be those symbols for each other.
Oh, 100%. And like, we also need to remember that, like, the people at the top are not necessarily always looking out for us. So we got to look out for each other.
Yeah, I mean, they aren't. Yeah. Hello, billionaires and all that, but, let's just forget reality. Reality sucks. Well,
yeah, there's just a lot of parallels. But, I mean, all in all, I enjoyed myself. I was smiling much more than I was frowning. I cried. I mean, you make me cry. It happens.
Well, and it's like I told you. Like, I've heard from a lot of people that like films and stuff that, a good film, or at least a decent film, a film's job is to make you feel different than when you walked in. So even if you walk out of film angry as shit and you hated it, it still made you feel something, right? Or if you walk out sad, or if you're jumping for joy, like, that's a film's job. And the worst thing a film can do is have you feel nothing. And so the first half of the film, I kind of felt that way, because I was just like, this isn't working. Like, I get what they're trying to do, but it's just not landing. And then once it got more to, the other stuff, it really started hitting, and the second half was phenomenal. So I did walk out feeling something. I felt a lot of things by the end, and I was very happy with that. So I was like, thank God it got it together enough. And again, that just, that further made me feel like, they were just really trying to clamp a lot of shit in the beginning and make the story work. And once they got it to, it was great, but we only had so little time left.
Well, yeah. I mean, so I really feel like it does, like, Taika does fall back on, like, some of, like, he's used to the mockumentary style. He's used to this idea of having a narrator or narration. Yes. So, like, him using Korg as that for a lot of stuff that they needed to get through, I was fine with it. It worked.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mind that at all. Yeah, the in general, it was just, there were just too many pieces they had put together too quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say that, like, the idea of parenthood is very big in it, obviously, because Thor becomes a parent in the end, and of course his dealing with the children, and the children are the ones that they need to save and all that.
Can we talk about how easily Thor adjusts to being a dad?
Oh my God,
and how natural it comes to him? Like, that's just absolutely adorable. And let me tell you, okay, here, I might make you feel things with this thought, Lisa, okay? So, what if Jane Foster does end up becoming something, like she does get her own show, or she's in another movie or whatever, right? And then she gets to see Thor with a kid one day. With the kid.
Oh my God.
How cute would that be?
Okay, so what if Thor is the stay-at-home dad, and Jane comes back and is like the mom, and like she goes out and does the superheroing, and he's just like making pancakes.
Yeah, that'd be cute. I don't think it'll go that far.
No,
because she's dealing with Valkyries and Valhalla now.
Oh yeah, no, this is
but that's still so cute.
So this is me literally, like, I'm bringing it back to Kurt right now. This is me literally dreaming about this idea, because I have been dreaming about this kind of idea for the heroes ever since that. We have to cover this too. The Excalibur, or no, the X-Men Gold Annual that had the Excalibur reunion, where the aliens attack, and it's like, all the women are like, fight! And like Kurt and Brian are like, fuck, what do we do with baby? Like, we gotta do something with baby. I'm like, I'm living for that. Every day I'm living for that. So I think it's a cute idea. I'm never gonna happen, but it's a cute idea.
Yeah, and I like that they're bringing it into the MCU, especially with other younger characters, even like teenagers or young adults, like we've seen with Kate Bishop and Yelena and stuff. I like that we're starting to see these younger characters again too, and we're still also having the adult ones. I like seeing that mix because a common problem in comics is they don't like to age characters, number one, because then editorials like it ages them too much, and then they don't like to make them parents or have families because it ages characters too much. Look at Thor; he's still a goober dork that's campy as hell. Now he just has a child that he also cares for. Like he has not changed because again he fell so naturally into that dad role. That's just he would be. And now that I think about it, there was that moment. I knew it was gonna when I heard it, I was like, oh, they're hinting at something, because there was where Korg was like, do you think Jane and him will have a kid or something? And Valkyrie says, like, that's very unlikely. And then at the end of the film, Thor basically has a child. Like, he's adopted a kid. Like, I love foreshadowing.
And Korg meets a boyfriend, Dwayne.
Dwayne! What's up, my man?
I love that it's a rock creature, just like Korg, but his name's Dwayne.
Get it. Dwayne the Rock.
And he's got... Oh my...
Did you not get that, Lisa? Yeah, Korg's rock boyfriend's named Dwayne, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Here to help you, Lisa. I'm here.
My head is literally on my desk right now.
It's pretty funny, guys.
Oh my god! Like, yeah. And we literally just saw the Black Adam trailer before the movie too. So it's like he was there.
Yeah.
I can't. I did love that Dwayne had like a nice hearty mustache.
He did. He had a big guy mustache. I was
like, how does a rock creature have a mustache? But
don't worry about it. Korg likes the bears. He likes a bear. All right, he likes a bear, man. Just let him have it.
So I mean, all in all, I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it has the rewatchability that Ragnarok has.
I don't think it does.
But you know what? It's like it's a good entry into the mythos and into the MCU, and it's moving the characters forward, but it's also moving like the MCU forward in a big way. Like clearly we're going to see what's going to happen with the
we're going to see more gods and shit.
We're going to see more gods,
which I am pretty happy about. So yeah, either way, even if this is one of those films where we look back and we're like, yeah, that was kind of rough, it still needed to happen, and I'm still glad we got it. And it's not a horrible film by any measure. It's just it's Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky. There you go. And Russell Crowe as Zeus, who of course was Gladiator, so he came from being a gladiator and now he's God. So there you go. So,
yeah.
I mean, I just love the idea of the gods just being these fat jerks. Like that makes sense to me. It was a good movie. I mean, go see it. It is Thor's Day. At the time that you are listening to this movie has been out for a week. So if you haven't seen it yet, what the fuck are you doing?
Unless you're listening to this like 2 years later. I don't know why, but you might.
So enjoy it, but. I don't know what the deal is with Gore's daughter, but I guess we're gonna find out more about that. That's kind of interesting too. So, but yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was good. I mean, listen, I love Taika Waititi so much. I desperately want him to do something in the X-Men universe. I desperately want him to do could you imagine Taika Waititi doing an Excalibur book or doing an Excalibur movie or TV show?
I'm trying to think how I like that. You know what? If anything, he could do Excalibur.
No, he could. That's the thing.
The goofiness and campiness can go very well with Excalibur.
It's the goofiness and campiness that you need. Exactly.
So, and honestly, that would do Kurt so much good. Taika, please. Direct and he could direct Andrew Garfield as Nightcrawler. We've done it.
We've done it. Oh my god.
We've done it.
I hate to say this. As much as I do not believe that they're going to be able to get someone to play Nightcrawler who is terribly established. And the reason I say that is because most people who can make the decision decide not to have to go through that fucking makeup.
Yeah. Fair.
I get it. But also I don't want to hear any fucking complaints. So, yeah, it's a good one.
Listen, again, I'm all for Andrew Crawler, but like if what we get is a no-namer right now that ends up being phenomenal, I won't complain.
No, I don't care as long as it's good and he looks good.
We just need the best Kurt. We need him. We need
real
Kurt back because right now we don't have him in comics. I gotta have him somewhere, guys.
I mean, that's true.
Somewhere.
We need somewhere. Fan fiction. There you go. Fan fiction.
Jesus Christ, that's not good enough, Lisa.
That's what you got. But yeah. So final thoughts. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was You know, it was a beautiful movie, beautifully shot. Everything about everything about what you see is gorgeous. Like,
it's very colorful.
Very colorful. Even like the scenes where they're in black and white, like there's still those like the color is used to enhance certain things. So yeah, go see it. It's awesome. Please let us know if you see it and you like it. Let us know if you guys know anything more about Gore and Gore's daughter, because I don't know anything about that stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, let us know what you want to see next. Do you want to see more Jane Foster? Do you think, like, give us your theories on what's going to happen next. Like,
yes.
If you watch Ted Lasso and you're excited that Brett Goldstein's going to be Hercules, let me know, because you're my people. Like, I'm so fucking hype.
I just am excited that Hercules is coming. Hercules feels like a step in the right direction. I'm just really excited about that.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. So anyway, well, if you enjoyed this, thanks for listening, guys. Come find us on our socials. Come find us on everything. We're at simplyamazingpod.com. Lauren, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHDBI.
Oh, very nice. Yes. All our socials are on simplyamazingpod.com. This was like a little extra for Thor's Day.
Woo-hoo!
And yeah, for those of you out there listening, wait, give me a second.
Okay.
For those of you out there fighting the good fight, you might be a gladiator today, but one day you might be a god, because you are simply amazing.